Coach Thatcher here with Midwest Military Equipment out of Washington, Missouri. Behind me here is a 2002 M1078a1. Today we're going to be kind of walking around the vehicle, talking about grease points, going over how to check the fluids, just basic knowledge to the LMTV world. We get a lot of requests for customers, you know, how do I work this, how do I do that? We've got a great video that we're going to be posting up that covers all of the operation inside the cab, what all the switches and gauges and everything does inside the cab itself. So we're going to go ahead and go around the outside of this vehicle. As you can see here, this actually has our CTIS wheel covers on it, but behind here is a CTIS hose that actually feeds the tire. You can manually inflate the tire right here underneath this cap. There's a Schrader valve there where you're able to manually inflate the tire. These are our gear reduction hubs. They're a 2-to-1 gear ratio reduction on the hub itself. Over here, you've got your engine oil fill, your transmission oil fill. If you ever get confused on which one's which, you can always look at the hose itself and see where they go. Obviously, the one going back's for the transmission, the one going forward's for the engine. This is our coolant reservoir here. For coolant sight glass, you can see we've got coolant in this one. We've got a little bit of coolant in that one. Normally, you want to see this right in the bottom of this glass. Obviously, different temperatures, different climates, what sort of grade you have the truck parked on. It's going to show a little bit different here. Right here is the transmission oil dipstick. You can pull that out, check transmission oil fluid. This is where the air filter is located. If we want to go over to the side of the vehicle, here's where the air dryer is. This is just factory standard air dryer. We do offer an upgrade kit for those. Exhaust obviously comes out there. You've got grease points on all of the leaf spring, and then we'll go around to the front and kind of show that. Obviously tail lights, backup lights. This is your service glide hand. This is your emergency glide hand for hooking up an air brake trailer. If you ever want to run any air tools off of the truck or to air up a tire or anything like that, you're going to need to go to the emergency glide hand on the rear of the vehicle. And you're going to have to wheel chock the truck and then push in both the trailer and the tractor supply valve on the dash itself. Obviously, pintle hitch here. You've got a 24-volt receptacle, a 12-volt receptacle, which that is a semi-plug there. So you would need an adapter if you wanted to pull a smaller civilian trailer, or we do sell an adapter kit as well. U-joints on the drive shafts, important thing to grease there. Every drive shaft has 2 U-joints. On 6x6s, you obviously have 2 more U-joints because they have an intermediate shaft. Forward drive shaft, rear drive shaft, make sure to take care of that. Differentials, they take 80-90 gear oil. Very important to check those and check the hubs, which there is on the hubs itself. There is an access port. We've got it turned down right now, but you can actually check the fluid level in the hubs. I always tell people after long trips, go ahead and make sure, walk around the vehicle, put your hands on the hubs. If one seems hotter than the other, you might want to check the fluid level in it. Obviously, fuel tank is here, fuel sender, spare tire. And then you've got grease points, again, on the front leaf springs, front steering arm. And then you've got your steering shaft that you need to grease. Your kingpins are very important to grease. That's what actually allows your knuckles to turn on your axle itself. Then you've also got a service and emergency front glide hands on here. Headlights, front turn signal lights. This is a blackout light down here. You do have a 12-volt trailer connector on the front that's designed for if the vehicle ever needed to be towed. Wiper arms here to access. These are the sprayer hoses. If you're ever having problems with your sprayers, you can check your hoses there, make sure they're not dry rotted, make sure the nozzles are hooked up. Underneath this box here is the windshield washer reservoir and pump. So this is where you're actually going to put your washer fluid in as well. The cabs themselves have 9 marker lights on them. We stock all the marker lights for them if you ever need them. This one actually has the newer style truck lights. Going over to the side of the vehicle, these are your cab airbags here. We sell an upgrade kit for these as well. That's with the cabs on the 1078s, actually all the 1083s, 1078s, 1085s. They all have cab airbags until you get into the A1Rs, so your A0 and A1 trucks also have those. This is your tire restraining strap. It's just a safety strap for when you have the spare tire in the stowed position. Also has a chain for raising and lowering it, which also acts as a retainer as well. You've got a toolbox here where you can put different things in when you're out on the road. Right here, we're going to demonstrate how the cab tilt works. So we're going to go ahead and turn this knob here to raise. We're going to have it on cab tilt. An important thing to realize too as well is these are an air over hydraulic pump system. So an air over hydraulic pump system, you have to have air pressure to operate. So you can either first start off by starting the truck, letting it build air pressure and then raising the cab up, which is what we've demonstrated today. Or you do have a manual pump here where you can manually, if you have a bar or a bottle jack bar, you can put it in there and raise the cab up. So once again, we've got this on cab tilt, this on raise for cab tilt right there. We're gonna go ahead and hit this here. As you can hear, the cab airbags are gonna settle. That's what you hear piping off. That's the leveling valve. You can go ahead and see the cab going up. That is your cab lock there. The cab locks are kind of notorious for seals. We do a lot of seal kits in them. Almost every truck that we sell, we put a new cab lock seal, and we also rebuild the cab pump. It's just kind of secondhand. Good thing to keep on the shelf because if either one of those seals fail, you're not going to be able to raise and lower your cab. Or you're just going to be dumping fluid everywhere and have to fill it up with fluid every time you want to use it. So that's in the up position where you can go ahead and run it up. You'll probably notice that the cab's kind of going up a little bit slower as it gets higher. It is an air over hydraulic system, and I'm not sure how much air we have in the tanks currently right now. Going over here to the side of the vehicle, being that this is an A1 truck, this has a pack brake exhaust brake that comes factory. A0 trucks do not. This is a 3126B motor. You've got your 24 and 12 volt alternator here, 12 volt post, 24 volt post and ground. That's your excitation wire that goes to the regulator. Always good to check your belts. Make sure there's not any substantial dry rot or issues with them. Visually, you can normally see them. Fan clutch is located right there. This is your air compressor. This is your primary fuel separator is right here. With this also has a manual priming ball, so if you run it out of fuel, you can prime it up. We've actually got a different, we've gone ahead and added, this is our fuel filter delete. It deletes the factory fuel element heater, so some vehicles might be a little different. ECM is located behind there. That's only on the A1 trucks. Power steering reservoir is here. These right here are for suspension lowering. Most guys in civilian worlds will never need them. They're actually designed to suck the vehicle down to bring the overall height down a little bit. And as you can see, the cab airbag mount here is floating. We'll go back over to the other side and I'll kind of talk about. So the same function is going to be for the spare tire. We're not going to go ahead and unstrap the spare tire today and show you how it comes down. It's pretty self-explanatory. Biggest thing is you want to make sure the tire's not bound when you're trying to lower it. To lower, you're just going to do it as simple as that. We're going to go ahead and lower the cab back down. You can turn it to lower. You can see that the cab is coming down gravity right now. You can pump it if you want it to go a little bit faster. The main thing is to look for is to make sure when the cab comes down here, you can see these right here. These are what rests on the saddle that holds the airbags. You want to make sure that those are fully seated onto these tabs right here. And then the cab lock detent pin, which you see there's a red portion on that particular one. It'll suck in. That will ensure that the cab is locked. Normally I tell all customers, or just a general personal habit of mine, once I bring the cab down, I go ahead and pump it a couple extra more times whenever it settles into the lock, just to make sure that the lock is fully engaged. For the spare tire operation, you're going to go ahead and bring it to lower, change this one, you're going to turn this knob to spare tire, and you can go ahead and bring the spare tire down to raise it. Same thing again there. Truck suspension, we discussed that. That is there to raise and lower. You would then use this knob here where it says suspension raise and lower. An important thing, we're going to wait for the cab to come down. It doesn't matter where these knobs are in position. It's irrelative whenever you're operating it. It's just you need to make sure that whatever feature you're trying to use, that this main control valve here is on that. So we've got it still on cab tilt. We've got it on lower. I'm going to go ahead and hit it. Make sure you can see there's fully seated into there so we know the cab is down all the way. We're going to go ahead and turn this to spare tire. You want to raise or lower the spare tire, you control that here. If you want to go to truck suspension here. I always leave it back in the cab tilt thing because that's normally the thing that you're using the most, is raising the cab up to check fluids, anything like that. An important thing that I did not touch on, some trucks have it, some trucks do not. A lot of the A0 trucks do not. Back behind the starter, this particular truck being an A1, it has an engine oil dipstick located here, which actually is a remote dipstick, so that way you don't have to go underneath the fender liner. On an A0 truck, the engine oil dipstick is located right by the starter. Being that this is an A1 truck, can't really demonstrate that on it today for you. If you want to check out more awesome products, more awesome builds, or you're looking for an LMTV or looking for parts for your LMTV, or just any technical questions, we have a bunch of free downloadable technical manuals on our website for these vehicles, and we stock nearly every part for them. We always keep plenty of LMTVs in stock. We normally keep about 100 LMTVs in general. That's just a little bit of our stock there. So be sure to subscribe to this video, and thank you guys for watching. You can find us online at MidwestMilitaryEquipment.com.